Welcome to the third episode of Super Sentai Power Hour. I'm Trevor,
And for Ranger X,
and welcome. Sorry for the poor connection issues. We know
if you like if you like and subscribe, we could get better microphones.
if you like to subscribe, we can get better microphones and maybe a better webcam too. So, anyway, last episode we talked about Hexagon. This episode we're going to talk about the Sentai seasons that go along with our favorite seasons of Power Rangers. Mine is Lightspeed, so I watched KyuKyu Sentai GoGoV 5.
And mine Lost Galaxy, so I've been watching Beast Sentai Gingaman.
Now, when it comes to the Sentai and Power Rangers and differences and similarities, we know some are better than others, just like with any show. And in my opinion, when it comes to Power Rangers, Lightspeed will always be at the top. And for him, it's Lost Galaxy. So
I like both seasons equally, but I have more memories with Galaxy than the first Ranger figure I remember getting was Green Lost Galaxy.
And the first Power Rangers stuff I ever got were to do with Lightspeed, and as we all know, Carter is my favorite Red Ranger. So,
And Ryan from Lightspeed, the Titanium Ranger, is probably my favorite, extra 6 Ranger.
yeah.
And with Lost Galaxy, Magma Defender is another one of my favorite Rangers of all time.
Yeah, and I guess we'll start with that. In GoGo 5, there is no 6th Ranger, which is very strange.
The series was called GoGo, so I guess they didn't want to have a 6th Ranger, so they don't have to change it to GoGo 6.
Yeah. So, I actually recently just got to the part of the saga in which normally the Titanium Ranger would pop in to save the day. The 3 demons with the exploding feathers. Another difference between GoGo 5 and Lightspeed, I don't think in Lightspeed any of those 3 actually grew into the bigger form.
Okay, so that was American footage.
Yeah. In GoGo 5, they still have the scene where Carter, or in this case, Matoy, the Red Ranger, goes up and close into the demon's face with the rescue bird and the V-Lance and pulls the trigger and basically blows them both up.
That was badass.
Yeah, that they still have that scene, but in Lightspeed, I don't think I think they just kept fighting the others. In GoGo 5, the head. I actually have my notes right here.
And I have the Ranger wiki up.
In GoGo 5, Diabolico is called Zilfiza. So
Is his origin the same? Is his origin the same as the guy's unleash his tomb, or is it different?
It's basically the same general plot. They're waiting for the Grand Cross to revive their
Banshiro?
Banshira as we know her, and in the Sentai it's Grandine. And Grandine is the big bad leader, and they're waiting for the Grand Cross to revive her.
The thing I always liked about Diabolico is like he was a villain, but he was like the first one to really respect his henchmen and not want to risk losing their lives. Like, because I remember there was like a scene where they were going to sacrifice their what were the putties of the bat wings? Like he
Yeah, the
didn't want to like
Batwings.
have the bat wings killed off.
Yeah, that's actually completely different in GoGo 5. In GoGo 5, there's actually one scene actually just before the episodes that I'm on, where Zilfiza makes Pierre, which is the GoGo 5's Jinxer, the monster creator.
He's like Spencer from Mighty Morphin.
He tells Jinxer to make a spiderish monster, which I don't think popped up in Lightspeed at all.
Bring this demon new life!
And this spider monster goes around spinning up webs and encapsulating people in webs, and eventually captures Go Red Matoi.
Sure, you're not talking about the Japanese Spider-Man?
Yeah, that's another thing we might have to talk about at some point.
It's canon Sentai. Because Sentai didn't have their Zords for the Japanese Spider-Man. The Japanese Spider-Man introduced the Zords.
But anyway, so this spider monster ends up capturing Go Red and in some other and brings him to some other dimension underneath the town. And there he meets up with Zilfiza, and they have a conversation about why he's doing what he's doing and everything. And obviously the rest of the Rangers come to save him, and they get absolutely destroyed by Zilfiza and the spider monster. Then the mentor, which is actually their father in GoGo 5, because in GoGo 5 the Rangers are actually all family.
Okay, because in Lightspeed it's just Ryan and Dana were siblings, and Commander Mitchell was their father. Now in this series, they're all siblings.
Yeah, they're all family in GoGo 5.
Which I think Magi Ranger was the second season to do that.
Yeah. So the father comes barging in on the motorcycle. He sends the motorcycle in to break the dimension, and he basically gives the Rangers the V-Lancers, which they're actually called the same thing in this. They're called V-Lancers.
Oh, that. Sometimes we get some more names for the weapons. I think this is the first time.
Yeah, but other things are completely different. Like, not completely different, but the in Lightspeed, the big finishing weapon is called the Rescue Bird.
Rescue Bird.
In GoGo 5, it's called Life Bird.
Because didn't they have maybe that's connected to the Life Force Megazord?
Yeah. In in GoGo 5, the Lightspeed Megazord is called Victory Robo.
I'm pretty sure Superpaw recently released like a new model kit of that Megazord, and because I saw a post about there being like new GoGo 5 figures in Japan for the 20th anniversary.
Nice. And the where in Lightspeed the train is called the Rail Rescue, in GoGo 5 it's called the Go Liner, and the resulting robo that is made from it is called Grand Liner.
And then here in America, it's Super Train Megazord.
Yeah.
See, for me, my thing is for everything around the time where Power Rangers Samurai starts. That's where I memorize it all by Japanese names. But everything before that, it tends to be I remember the Power Ranger names.
So yeah. So anyway, so they get the V Lancers and they use the finishing attack on Zilphiza. Zilphiza actually straight up stabs the spider monster for not doing a good enough job after they get the V Lancers, and he destroys the monster for them after he gets beaten by the V Lancers. So there's that. So Zilphiza and the villains are called the Saima family in GoGo 5. So the Saima family are not as careful with their minions and their monsters as Diabolico and Gang were in Lightspeed.
In GoGo 5, is there? I don't know if he was an American creation, but there was a demon villain who was literally the costume for Ecliptor from space, recycled and painted red to look like rock and magma. Was he in Japan or was that an American creation?
I haven't seen it, so. And in general, I'll just go over some other general differences that we need to touch on. As I already said, in GoGo 5, they're all family. Matoi, Nagare, Sho, Diamond, and Matsuri. Other names. And their father is their mentor of the season.
Does their mentor, the captain guy, does he have a backstory in Japan or like he did in America?
He has a backstory. It's not gone over too much in what I've seen, but his general backstory from what I've gathered and plus research on the Ranger Wiki is basically the father had some problems with the family, so he went off to do his research and he found out about the Saima family and the Grand Cross and everything. So he kind of yeeted off to do his own thing while the mother took care of the Rangers before they're Rangers, obviously. And then one day,
It could be a character for the Boom Studio comic character. Yeah, we really need to figure out a way to not interfere if we to find out when we talk. So we're still getting used to this. But, well, I think he could be a cool character to give a backstory to, like in the Boom Studio comic, because this guy literally goes from just being a normal firefighter to being a government organization. There's so much that be done with this character.
One day, a meteor comes crashing into town, and from that meteor comes a huge volcanic monster, similar to the first episode of Lightspeed. And from that huge volcanic monster comes a whole bunch of chaos, obviously. So each of the Tatsumi family are in some type of rescue-related job. Matoi is a firefighter, just like Carter was in Lightspeed. So is Nagare. So Go Red, Go Blue, they're both firefighters. Go Green Show is a helicopter pilot, just like Joel. Daimon is Go Yellow, and he's local police, I think. And Matsuri is just like Dana. She's a medical personnel. And whereas in Lightspeed, obviously they have Ryan with his whole backstory. There is no Ryan equivalent in GoGo 5. Although
Ryan,
from
I really think Ryan has the best backstory to any Ranger.
Yeah, Ryan's backstory is nice. It's one of the better Six Ranger stories in Power Rangers. But
one of the where I like to bring up on Power Rangers. When people say Power Rangers is just a kids show, there's this Ranger who got abducted by as a child, and now he spent many years of his life in hell being raised to kill his father. Kids show.
Yeah. So they all the whole Tatsumi family come to the scene to rescue people, and they soon realize they're over their heads. In fact, they all get knocked out by debris or something, and they get taken back to their home. And from their, I think it's an enlarged apartment, and from there they see their father, who they haven't seen in years. So they're all surprised to see their father, and their father tells them about what he's been working on for the last however many years. He's just like, you guys are going to be a superhero task force. He doesn't use those words, obviously, and unfortunately, the version of GoGo 5 that I got off the interwebs is not subbed. So I speak some Japanese, but it's really still not enough to really understand everything that they're saying.
I know where you can find it subbed. Where I watched Gig, and they have GoGo 5 also.
Oh, all right. So after I finish it on my version, I'll look it up on Tubi. But he basically tells them, you guys are going to be this new task force. He probably doesn't use those words, but he basically tells them about the braces and everything. And
Sentai is the Japanese word Sentai means task force, so you're not wrong about that.
Yeah. So he tells them about the braces and everything, and in GoGo 5, the transformation word or the henshin word is chakso. I think that's how they say it.
No.
And they still do the whole that thing. So
If they have the same morph animation where they're like being fused with the CGI shield.
it's similar. Whereas in Lightspeed, the shield comes down and covers them with the suit and everything.
Yeah.
In GoGo 5, it's kind of similar. They basically get a digitalized version of the suit that they wrap around their bodies, and it fuses to their body, and then the head wraps around, and the visor comes down. So they kind of wrap the suit around them like a cape. It fuses to them, and then the head comes down, the visor comes down, and there we go.
Because this is when they started using morph in the morphic. I think probably Mega Ranch was the first use of CGI for morphing, like when it became more common.
Mm-hmm. And the actual name of the brace is the one thing I don't have written down. So I'm going to look that up real quick. There we go. The father's name is Mondo.
So he's like the Machine Empire guy.
Yeah. Alright. So the Lightspeed morpher in this is called the GoGo brace, which is probably obvious. I probably didn't need to look that up, but there we go. And then I saw the preview of the next episode that I'm going to watch after we finish this episode. The next episode that I'm going to watch has Ryan's Zord, and it's actually driven by one of their allies, a girl named Kyoko.
So she's like the Miss Fairweather of the Japanese show.
Yeah. Except she doesn't really do anything to do with technology. She's actually an astronaut.
Okay, so like loosely but
yeah, and she doesn't appear nearly as often as Miss Fairweather does in Lightspeed. But they're equivalent, I guess. But the whole point is, instead of Ryan, they have Kyoko driving this Zord, for lack of a better term.
But I don't think it's on like the DVD, but there was like, because all Sentai seasons have like a movie that comes out with them, but in this movie, I'm pretty sure that's where the Zord was introduced in.
Alright, well, I don't have the movie, and I would like to find it. I don't know if I have any way of finding it, but I'll look for it.
There's actually a sixth Ranger in it that never appeared in like the main series. It's like Zeke Demon Hunter, who's like a black and gold Ranger.
Huh. So I'll look for the GoGo 5 movie, and I know there was another, because I know the whole crossover thing is a lot bigger in Japan. So every season has a versus where they go against the last season of Sentai, So I know
Sometimes they'll have multiple ones.
Yeah, so I know there's a GoGo 5 versus Gingaman out there. I just have to
And then
find it.
and Time Ranger versus GoGo 5.
Yeah. So I gotta find that too. But so those are the major differences, and I don't know what Ryan's Zord is called in GoGo 5. And I can look it up. Let's see. Go on system. Oh, there we go. Mars system? Is this it? Victory Walker? No, that's... Is this it? No. And that other Megazord that they get in Lightspeed, not Ryan's,
Okay.
not the Lightspeed Megazord, but that other one with the different Zords.
The Omega Megazord.
The what?
The Omega Megazord.
Yeah. It's called Victory Mars in GoGo 5.
I don't know if you still have it, but I know that at least at one point it was on.
I probably have it somewhere. It's probably
I know it used to be on the shelf right on the up. You'll be looking at it right if it's still there.
Yeah. Let's see. There we go. It's called the Max Victory Robo Sigma.
That okay? I don't know why, but I knew, but that thought of that. I figured it was wrong.
So that's the form where it turns into the Robo, but I don't know what it's actually called as a Zord, and it doesn't have the information. So when I watch it, I'll find out. But overall, I'm really liking GoGo 5, even though it's not subbed and it's harder to understand. And I will watch it subbed on Tubi. But
and something about that Zord we were talking about. Head. It's the head of that Zord. It's literally the Ranger helmet.
Alright, so that's my brief overview of GoGo 5. How is Gingaman different from Lost Galaxy?
It's really weird because it's totally different. I mean, there's similarities. The Red Ranger gets chosen by the swords, the Quasar Sabers, or the Quasar Sabers in Japan. The Red Ranger that gets chosen to be the Red Ranger. The same thing as in America. He gets in battle. He gets supposedly killed off, and then his brother has to take his place. So that's like the Sabers and the Red Ranger being replaced right away. It's like the main similarity, but it's completely different because in America they fight against Scorpinus. The Scorpion guy and Turkina, but in Japan they go up against the Pyro Gal band who were used later in Lost Galaxy season, like towards the when they ran out of stock footage. Or, no, they didn't run out to fill
in
when they had all.
Lost Galaxy,
The
Lost Galaxy, it's Scorpius and Trakina.
I'm really good at stuttering. But Japan, they start off right away with the pirate, space pirate guys, that Balban. I forgot what it was called in America. And their plan is to the space pirate organization. Their plans to, like in America, their ship is like this flying dragon creature has their castle based on top of it. Their plan is to revive it and use it to conquer the universe, and they destroy planets and turn them into their treasure.
Yeah, and that's sort of similar to Grandine and the Sima family in GoGo 5. The Grand Cross comes together, Grandine comes down, and Grandine wants to basically take over the whole universe, I think. So it's big stakes for GoGo 5. But something I'm really curious about is, what is the Magna Defender called in Gingaman?
He's called the Black Knight.
Oh. Well, that's anticlimactic.
Cool. It's not as cool as the Magna Defender, but he's still the similar character, because it's the same how in America, where the Magna Defender, he basically possesses the body of the Red Ranger who gets supposedly killed off, and I'm forgetting names. Then sort of like throughout some of this, using like his body then later separates and becomes. And I think the most different thing about Lost Galaxy and Gigaman is Lost Galaxy takes place in space. Gigaman, it has like a nature scene to it, and they instead of having in their motorcycles and galaxy gliders, they ride horses into battle.
Oh.
It's very weird knowing how Lost Galaxy is like this Star Trek style series in space. Meanwhile, here in America, horses.
Okay. And
the horses get like armor based off of the swords.
All right. I'll get to Gingaman. I haven't seen Gingaman, so that's very interesting. So, although I heard that the Zords are very special in Gingaman, like they're spirits or something?
They're different. They're like these ancient entities called the Star Beasts. Meanwhile, in America, I wouldn't say they're non-sentient, but they're a bigger deal here in Gingaman.
Yeah.
And the thing I like about them is, obviously, they become Zords later, but they start out more like kaijus. Like, they're like organic creatures.
So sort of like in Gal Ranger and Wild Force, where the Zords are wild animals.
Yeah, like Dino Thunder, where they come from eggs.
Huh. Alright. Interesting. Obviously in GoGo 5, the Zords are the Zords. I mean, they're basically the exact same thing in GoGo 5 and Lightspeed.
They're the, as far as no. I was gonna say they're the first vehicle towards that I remember Turbo existed.
Yeah. I think Zords in Sentai versus Power Rangers are very interesting because, as we've touched on in the past, anything that talks in a Sentai is usually neutered heavily in Power Rangers. So,
my Transformers.
So, and that's another thing. In GoGo 5, the Tatsumi family has this little green robot. I can't remember its name right now, but it's this little green robot.
Gingaman have this little guy.
It's this little green robot that it's kind of an assistant. It's like an AI assistant that follows Mondo Tatsumi around. So the father, it follows Mondo around and basically communicates with the Rangers whenever a Saima beast attacks.
Kind of reminds me how in Gingaman you have this little flying acorn fairy guy.
Yeah, so I'm most definitely pronouncing this wrong, but the little green robot goes KyuKyu Suho, KyuKyu Suho, and explains to the Rangers where the monster of the episode is.
So he's like their Alpha 5 that season.
Yeah, you can think of it as alpha, as basically alpha, and it's almost as annoying too. So there's a weird little similarity for you, but as I was saying, Zords and we'll talk about this in another episode as well, but I know in Go Onter the Zords talk.
Yeah.
And obviously,
my speculation is that they don't want Zords to feel too much like Transformers.
Yeah, that sounds about right. If the Zords if the Zords talked, they might get some type of copyright claim from Transformers. I don't know, but obviously in RPM they don't talk. So
RPM is one of those seasons where they could have made it work, but they wanted to go for like this dark tone and have like a very like mature tone. So I feel like it would have been out of place if they did that.
Oh yeah, definitely. But that's true. Go Onger is very lighthearted, especially when compared with RPM.
It's kind of like how Turbo, the series again, was very like comedic to them. They wanted to make it like more darker, serious.
Yeah, but again, we'll talk about Go Onger and RPM in another episode. Just wanted to get that little anecdote out there. So when it comes to Gingaman and Lost Galaxy, I'm assuming you prefer Lost Galaxy to Gingaman?
I have more memories with Lost Galaxy, but Gingaman, it's more interesting because I don't have it as ingrained in my memory that like I did with Lost Galaxy, so it's two different shows. I'm going to say Lost Galaxy is better in my opinion, but they're two different shows and you can't really hear.
Yeah, it's the same thing with GoGo 5 and Lightspeed. They obviously have similar. The villains are basically the same, but there's a lot in GoGo 5 that never got translated to Lightspeed. Like there's a lot of one-off minion villains in GoGo 5 that never made it to Lightspeed, like that spider monster I was talking about before.
Yeah,
Uh,
I was hearing you talk about that. I don't even remember that in Speed.
like,
This is. I have a picture. This is that Gold Ranger guy I was talking about.
oh, okay. All right. I'll have to look for that movie. But like there's all sorts of one-off minion villains that don't appear in Lightspeed. Like there there was, and even in the I don't remember their specific names, but the three demons with the exploding feathers. Even in that whole saga, it's very different. There's a lot of footage that I don't believe was used in Lightspeed. Like there's a lot of scenes where the Rangers are legitimately just getting stomped by these overpowered Sima beasts, as they're called in GoGo 5.
Well, they have to change a lot of it because we didn't have because we now have the Titanium Ranger to work into the plot.
Yeah. Some of the scenes are exactly the same. Like the one where Ryan usually comes in to save the day. Um, that scene is basically the same except with an extra person.
Okay, so it's like they replaced him, but they replaced the captain guy with Ryan here in America.
Yeah. And there's another sort of one-off character who's a friend slash rival of the father Mondo, and I don't remember his name right now, but he's a commander of the military, I think, and he's friends slash rivals with Mondo. They know each other from years back. There's actually an episode that they copied in Lightspeed, sort of, where
Rangers.
The one where the Lightspeed Rangers get replaced by the robotic Rangers.
Well,
Instead,
if I remember correctly, the Robo Rangers weren't even in the Japanese.
Oh no, not at all. That's what I'm saying. That's what I was getting to. Whereas in Lightspeed, they have the Robo Rangers and they get replaced and everything. In GoGo 5, this other military commander guy comes in, basically doesn't like how Mondo is running GoGo 5, and literally just takes over. He says something close to, "You're not running this right. I'm coming in and taking over." So he takes over the entire operation and basically lays off the Rangers entirely. And then the monster attacks again, and Mondo decides, "F this! You guys are GoGo 5. Do your job. I don't care what he says." And that's exactly what happens. They go into battle unmorphed because, oh, hi. all right, everybody. This is Roxy, my dog.
And this is my homemade blade blaster, not a dog.
Anyway, they 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 go they go because when the military commander takes over, he shuts down their ability to morph. So they go into battle, unmorph, get bit. Oh, what is it, Roxy? What is it? Oh, it's two doggies. You see doggies. Oh my god. Anyway, so they go into battle. Let's try this again. They go into battle unmorphed and basically get stomped by the monster, and trying to save people. So Mondo is there as well. So they. Oh my god. They get completely stomped by the monster, and the military commander basically gets a look at what's happening, and he basically has a change of heart and says, "You know what? The I can see the passion these guys have. Let's give them their right to transform and be the heroes they're meant to be." So he basically turns back on the ability to morph. They chuck so, and okay, bye Roxy. They chuck so and defeat the monster with the life bird, which and the actual life bird attack is called Breaker Mode. Comebacky Breaker. They use that and defeat the monster. So and obviously in Lightspeed we know what happens. The Robo Rangers basically malfunction.
Was it like I forgot the exact plot of that episode. Was it on their own, or were they manipulated by Diabolico?
I think they basically just, if I'm remembering correctly, they basically malfunctioned when the real Rangers came in to save the day. If I'm remembering correctly, I haven't seen the episode in ages, but I mean, a lot of Lightspeed I remember pretty well because I've watched it so many times and I grew up with it.
Yeah, I remember watching Lightspeed really well, but for whatever reason, I'm the type of person who needs to watch a show at least twice, and if I'm binge watching it, I don't remember as much, so I'm only really remembering bits and pieces of Gingaman of the Wikipedia up, because the big difference between the Gingaman is that the planet Marinoi, which was like that, the planet that it's basically they changed it up where all of the 5 Rangers are from like that planet Marinoi, but instead of it being a planet, it's like a pocket dimension where kind of like how in Mystic Force there's like that forest that has like a dimensional glitch to it.
Yeah. All right.
Instead of the Quasar Sabers, they're the Star Beast Sabers.
Alright. So, now, just to go over the villain names again. Obviously, we have in Lightspeed we have Banshira. Impus Diabolico, Loki, Vipra, Jinx, and the Batlings. In GoGo 5, it's Grandine, Zilfiza, Salamandress, Kobolda, Dennis, Pierre, and the Batlings are called Imps.
Then for Gingaman, the main villain who in America was Captain E. In Japan, and he's called Captain Zabhab, and well, Trakina, she's not in this. There's like a human female villain who kind of fits her role. She's called Steer Woman. Steer Woman Shilinda. And then there then one-off villains who have like in Japan, and the villains are very different, and because we have like those two guys who, after Scorpionus is defeated, when Trakina is like on her own, there's like those two guys who basically assist her and train her to be better at combat. They're already in the series at the beginning. They're like the two like main generals of Captain Zabhab. And how it works in Japan is he basically chooses one of his generals to be the villain of the episode, so it like switches who the episode focuses on.
Yeah, because I remember in Lost Galaxy and in Space, didn't they mix a couple of villains or something to that general effect?
And in Power Rangers, I'm pretty sure they create a lot of their own villains in that season.
Yeah, because I saw Mega Ranger, the in space Sentai equivalent, a while back, a couple of years ago. I had to rewatch it. I know in Mega Ranger, there were some villains from Lost Galaxy.
Yeah, that did happen.
Or they had completely different roles, I believe, obviously. A lot of them were connected to Mega Ranger's 6th Ranger.
I've seen Mega Ranger, but I've only seen like the first 3 episodes, so I don't really know much about that season.
I've seen the whole thing, but it was a long time ago and I don't remember much. So I'll have to rewatch it. It's probably on Tubi.
Oh yeah, all the seasons from Jetman to Hurricane, I think.
Oh, so basically everything that Shout Factory has done.
Yeah, I think they have like a partnership with Shout Factory.
Interesting. I'm watching Jew Ranger on Verve. So Verve has a few seasons of Sentai. They have Jew Ranger, they have Die Ranger, and they have O Ranger. And
okay, so like the Mighty Morphin stuff.
Yeah, they have a lot of Ultraman.
That's cool.
Yeah, so a lot of the older and newer Ultraman seasons they have. We'll talk about Ultraman at some point. I haven't seen them. I haven't seen that much of Ultraman, but
a good way to get into it is that there's the Ultraman series on Netflix.
Yeah, I've seen that. It's interesting. But anyway, back to the topic at hand. GoGo 5, from what I've seen, obviously, I'm like basically halfway through it. I'm on episode 21, I believe. and it's an interesting take on what I already know from Lightspeed. As I said, there's a lot of villains and scenes that never made it to Lightspeed, so I'm getting a whole new perspective on the footage that I know from my childhood. So it's
Same with Galaxy.
yeah,
Same with Gingaman.
yeah. It seems like Gingaman is a decent series.
I like it. It's just you have to, as long as you think of it as its own separate show, separate from Lost Galaxy, it's enjoyable.
Yeah, I mean, I'm the way I'm taking GoGo 5 is I'm taking it as basically Lightspeed extended because
That's the way to look at it.
the shows are actually very similar. They they have it's obviously that rescue vibe, except in Lightspeed they're basically volunteers to be rangers. I mean, the instead of family who were recruited, the rangers in Lightspeed pretty pretty much they're pretty much called in volunteers, right?
Pretty much. Do you have the problem where when you're watching GoGo 5 or one of the seasons of your favorite Power Ranger seasons, do you ever have a problem where where mentally you hear the soundtrack to the Power Ranger season while watching Sentai?
That when I was watching the first couple episodes of GoGo 5, yeah, whenever the theme song came on, the Lightspeed theme came on in my head.
That, that's been like whenever they're morphing and or like forming the Megazord, all I can hear is like mentally the Lost Galaxy music.
Yeah, whenever it for me, this whole motion it's Lightspeed. It's Lightspeed Rescue all the way. I mean, it's ingrained in my head.
Lightspeed Rescue.
And obviously, as I said already in GoGo 5, it's Chuxo!
Go Galactic. And an interesting thing about the Magno Defender here in America, his morpher is actually the Die Ranger morpher.
Oh. Oh, that's interesting.
Because I don't know why they didn't do it, but I think it was like for budget reasons. Originally, the Die Ranger suits were going to be like a power up form for the Galaxy Rangers.
That would have been interesting.
Like my speculation is they were gonna like they chose to use the likes of Orion just for stock footage reasons, then instead of filming entirely new footage with the Die Ranger suits.
Yeah. I mean, GoGo 5 is just interesting to me because it's what I already know, but kind of remixed.
That's the thing about watching Sentai, like older Sentai from like when we were growing up with Power Rangers. It's like they're very surreal looking at Power Rangers since we grew up with, but in a different tone and a different plot line.
Yeah, I mean, it's the plot is is similar. I mean, in Lightspeed, they're trying to bring back Banshira with the planets aligning and everything, and that's what the Grand Cross is in GoGo 5. The planets align in a literal cross. So I can understand why they got rid of the religious imagery for Lightspeed.
Oh yeah, that's not going to go well in America.
Yeah, not at all. But another difference between Lightspeed and GoGoV, especially in the recent episodes I've been watching. In their fight with these super powerful Cyma beasts, the GoGoV Rangers actually break their go-go braces, and they have to run away to safety on top of a building, and their father actually sends them a repair kit on top of this building so that they can fix their morphers by themselves. All the while arguing about their role as Rangers.
Which I think happens like at least once every season.
Yeah. So that obviously never happened in Lightspeed. In Lightspeed, they don't have to fix their morphers after a fight.
Well, in Power Rangers, that's the thing about Sentai. In Sentai, they're allowed to show that the Rangers get damaged and injured. In Power Rangers, they're invincible.
Yeah. I mean, in GoGoV, they've gotten scrapes and cuts, and they've gotten literally blown up with semi-realistic consequences.
And in Power Rangers, sometimes they'll give them like bruises. Like most of the time, if they're going to show damage, they'll just have them like bandaged up. But they never really show blood or anything like that.
Yeah, in GoGoV, they show the blood. I mean, as I said previously, Matsuri is Go Pink. She's in Dana's role as the medical personnel, and there's a lot of times where she will actually have to break out a med kit and fix people's injuries on the fly.
That would have been cool. That would have been cool to see in America.
Yeah. I mean, Dana doesn't really do much of that in Lightspeed, so it's really cool to see. So overall, let's go. We've been going for an hour and 4 minutes now, so let's do conclusions. What are your overall thoughts of Gingaman?
Well, my problem is you clearly watched GoGoV before watching this, and I watched Gingaman like a few days ago and all at once, so I don't have it fully memorized. But from what I remember, it's really good, like 90s Sentai before it got too cartoony, when it was more grounded. So, like, if you hate how cartoony and animated modern Sentai is, Gingaman is a good example of, like, classic Sentai in what it should be.
Yeah, I agree. Same thing with the GoGoV. If you don't like where Sentai has been going with the villain designs or the Ranger suits or whatever, if you don't like the way Sentai has been going lately, if you're not really looking forward to the Ryu Soldier adaptation for Power Rangers, I think going back to watch these quote unquote classic seasons is a good idea, because GoGoV is very much a serious season. It's even though Lightspeed was a pretty serious season of Power Rangers, GoGoV takes it a notch further.
It definitely, especially with, I would say the occult stuff in GoGoV, like the demons, is a little more evil-ish, I would say, compared to the TV Y7 rating in America.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, again, just because this is the most recent experience I have, these overpowered Cyma beasts they in Lightspeed they threw the exploding feathers around, but they didn't do as much damage as you might expect. When in GoGo 5, when the Rangers find out that they're bombs, they get legitimately worried, and when the sun goes down and they actually explode, the damage is widespread. I mean, it's like an earthquake hit the place.
See, in Power Rangers, a nuclear bomb could go off and no one would get hurt.
Yeah, so the stakes are a lot higher, and I really like that. I really wish that Saban and Hasbro would drop the kid-friendly stuff for Power Rangers and make something a lot more serious.
In Power Rangers, everything has to go well, but in Japan and Sentai, sometimes shit happens, people die, cities explode.
Yeah. Like, again, I hate to keep going back to this episode, but it's the most recent episode I watched. The backstory is that the Rangers saved a mother and her newborn baby from a fire some years ago. So they go to this now 1 or 2 year old kid's birthday party, and they see the feather come in the window, and the baby's just playing with it like a toy. And obviously, at the time, they don't know it's a bomb yet, so they're fine with it. So when they're fighting these Sima beasts, and they get exploded by one of those feathers, they realize, oh shit, one of those feathers was in this little baby's hands.
If I remember correctly, in America, Ryan finds out that there's somehow, if I remember correctly, it was like a kid had put one of the feathers in a backpack, and that's what Ryan is trying to get.
Yeah, Ryan basically throws it off of a bridge, and they all duck and cover. But that's the situation in GoGo 5. They realize, oh shit, that little kid had one of these feathers in his hand, and the event even goes on the news. It's that big. Like the Rangers actually tell their father, who tells the local news station, watch out for these feathers, they explode at night. So the mother of this kid hears it on the news while she's shopping, and it's sunset, so she runs like hell to get home, and just barely makes it in time to throw the feather off the balcony as it's exploding, and the entire place gets exploded in rubble. But the kid and her thankfully survive, like literally just in the nick of time. So, a great example of Sentai taking it up to 11, where in Power Rangers that would never happen.
And I think, Mighty Morphin we got some like building explosions, but I vividly remember the scene in Wild Force where a monster's destroying buildings and he makes an effort to look inside. I then says, I hate empty buildings. And then I remember there was an episode where a building explodes and a ranger says, well, thankfully no one was in that building.
Yep, because no one can get hurt.
Oh no, the monster's attacking the abandoned building district.
Pretty much. Alright, and so that's basically my conclusion as well. If you're sick of the Go Lucky the Rainbow Go Lucky themes of recent Sentai. I mean, I don't know what Kira Major is about, so it's another magic season, isn't it?
I just know what the costume. If I remember correctly, from what I've seen, it's like they're collecting like these crystals that transform into cars.
Oh, Japan.
From the people who brought you Kamen Riders that turn into fruit.
Yep. Alright, so that'll end it for us today. Thank you for watching this episode of Super Sentai Power Hour.
Check us out on social media. I'm Answer Ranger X. I have like Instagram. I'm like a prop builder and 3D modeler. And do you have Instagram or anything? Or
I have an Instagram. Just look up Trevor Golding. I'm on Facebook as well. I have a Twitter. I don't remember what my Twitter name is, but I have a Twitter. I will figure out what it is and get it out there on the Facebook page. Which, by the way, I keep forgetting to mention, this podcast has a Facebook page. So just look up Super Sentai. Sure
we're a group. Just send us a request to get in, and yeah,
we're a public
check
group.
It out.
So just send us a request. We'll approve you, and that'll be that. Just look up Super Sentai Power Hour on Facebook, and thank you for watching.
And Lehigh Valley Power Rangers on Instagram.
Thank you for watching.